The 580 Show. Let's go. The 580 Show. Let's go. The 580 Show.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, episode 127 of the 580 Show. It's me, your producer, Dante Petrello, with Josh Hendrickson and Jason Frawley. What's up, guys?
What a wonderful,
great intro.
What a wonderful,
Nailed it.
energetic. All our faithful listeners are like, "What the heck? Different."
Really, who's that
awesome.
guy?
Yeah.
Great
never
job,
talks.
producer Dante. So I got some topics this week. I don't know about you guys, but just gonna roll with a couple things.
Yep.
I wanna start off. I want to rewind to last week because I actually got a decent amount of feedback. I appreciate everyone's feedback, and I talked to Justin Menning, actually
Yeah, that's cool.
What's it called? Promoter of USS Nationals 2024. And one thing I don't think I stressed enough on it was I'm not trying to be critical of promoters. I was being more critical of inconsistencies year to year. Like talking to Justin, I think it's cool. And we said it on the pod. Maybe this guy just wants to make nationals heavy as hell. And that's exactly what he said. He's like, man, it's nationals. It should be heavy as hell. He said, if you know me, I like to do yokes really heavy at my shows. And that was kind of his take on nationals. He got the opportunity to host it. And that was kind of why maybe the Matrix is a little heavier than people would expect, right? My criticism mainly is the inconsistencies year to year.
Right.
So with a new promoter every single year within the same organization for nationals, you're going to have years that are really goofy and light for national. I'm saying light, and I mean light for what nationals is, because I actually, if I met this Justin Menning, I would probably agree with him on almost 100% of things, because I think nationals should be heavy, because I think it should mean something to
It should be, it should be exclusive to some degree. It should be an honor to be there. Not exclusive, not the right word, but it should be a privilege. Like it should be a big deal for you to be there. Yeah.
Well, it's like, it should be like, dude, I qualified for nationals this year. I'm going to nationals, like exactly what you said, Frawley. My problem is that novices can qualify.
Right.
Third out of 3 can qualify. Second out of 2 can qualify. People that are alone in a class go to a local show and 4 out of 5 events, maybe even 5 out of 5 events, and qualify. And then you have a really heavy show. So that was kind of what I was saying. I think it's just inconsistency year to year. But I love the events.
I got some really good feedback too. It was from CJ. And he said that he has done Justin shows before, and he said like basically the same thing. He's like, look, man, they just like to run heavy shows. He said that he liked it. He likes the idea, but he's like, it's just a promoter thing. Like Justin likes to run heavy shows, and I'm like, that it's the same story, you know. That's what he wants to do. He likes it. Love the events. So, you got a year. Start training, right? And get stronger.
Yeah, he did tell me too. He's like it is over a year out. He was very admittedly like, it is over a year out. I can change the weights if I want to. He was on a timeline with getting the event posted, because I think that's just the way USS does it.
Sure.
They do it a little over a year out. But props to him for doing it heavy, and maybe not being like that nationals where, hey, we're going to have 1,000 people or whatever this year tried to have, and we're just going to make it for everybody. We're going to make it a heavy national show. So that was kind of more what I was saying last week, just to kind of clear up some of that.
Yep.
But I think we said it last week too, but I think they're like my favorite nationals events for USS I've seen since I've been in strongman. I think they're cool. But yeah, that was all I really want to say about that from last week. I appreciate everyone's feedback on it too. I think Denver will be a really sick location for national for.
It's at the rodeo.
Yeah, that is sick.
It's at the rodeo, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. But in other news, I think it's cool to see regionals starting to pop up. So today, today was the Southeast Regional for Strongman Corp.
It was in Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. My buddy Brandon Spivey, however you say his last name, he ran it. I actually talked to him right before the pod, and he said it went really well. So that's really cool. They look like they put on awesome shows down there.
Mhm.
I would love to get to one of their shows eventually, but I just think it's cool to highlight regionals because one really cool thing about it is first place, it's only 10 classes. So it's the 5 open women, 5 open men. And I do think with the way regionals, this is the first year, this is the first true year for Strongman Corp for regionals. I think
Yep.
it's going to take time to build. Maybe they're going to have to build the model a little bit differently.
Mhm.
It might take some tinkering because so participation's a little lower for some of these regionals,
Sure. Mhm.
but you have to be qualified, which I think
Mhm.
is cool to have a structure like that, local, regional,
I'm gonna
national.
disagree.
Okay.
I wish I I know like the qualification obviously encourages people to do local shows. Doing local shows gets more involvement in Strongman Corporation. But I wish that I wish the regionals were an open sign up. And my reasoning is now I understand like they're trying to promote like an in-between level, but there are people who can't do regionals because they haven't done a local show in the last 6 months to year. And now the regionals are coming around and they're like, oh, I have to do a local show to qualify. I missed out, didn't realize, I don't know, maybe whatever the reason is, but like there are people that are fully capable of competing at a regional level.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you could do the open sign up, that allows those people to jump in because it's not like we're seeing the overwhelming participation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that's the business side of things because you want people like
Sure.
Strongman Corp doesn't want people just like once a year signing up for their show. You know what I mean? Like
I
they're
do.
trying to get people involved in their organization. So I
Yep.
get it from a business thing. So I do get that. But no, I see what you're saying. So if I was in control, this is what I would do. And this is kind of what I am doing, honestly,
Right.
this year. I just had to pay more money. But I would have regionals. So what I would do, have your 4 to 5, 6 regionals, however many you do in the US. Arnold bid for first place for everyone so you have you have open and regional classes. So you make it basically a grand show. So that
Sure.
way anyone can still do the show, but their Arnold bid isn't up for everyone, if that makes sense. So you have the people that are still qualified because I think it's cool because it's like, I see what you're saying, but it's like,
Hmm.
look at the Arnold, okay? There's not a million, but there's thousands of competitors that could say, oh, I could go to the Arnold and do those weights. But hey, I actually had to bust my ass. I had to go and
Sure.
qualify and do all this stuff. So I think that's kind of what they're trying to do with regionals too,
Hmm.
is make it like that kind of model and get more
Yeah.
people involved in their federation.
Right.
But what I would do is I would basically say, okay, regionals, you can have a grand show, you can still have novice, you can still have open non-qualified regional classes, masters, all that stuff, and allow it to have more participation and a bigger crowd just in general.
Sure.
Does that make sense? I mean,
It does. And I understand your
it's
point.
goofy. It's goofy.
Yep.
I don't, you know, I would really like to sit down and like talk out a way to kind of improve the regionals year by
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
if it doesn't keep improving. But I
Yeah.
do think,
That's true too.
I think if the promoters for regionals this year put on good shows, and it kind
Yeah.
of, this is the first year. It sucks. It
Hmm.
sucks. It's the first year. It's always going to have hiccups. And it's like, if people now have that year after and they see all that show look cool, oh, so and so qualified for the Arnold. I think I could qualify for the Arnold. I'm going to do
Right.
one of these. I'm going to get qualified for one of these regionals. So I just think it's gonna take some ironing out, to be
Mhm.
Sure.
honest.
Sure.
I mean, if you look at our participation from last year to this year, because we're doing Battle of the Bridge and regionals on
Right.
the
It's
same
two
weekend,
shows. Yep.
it's actually the same.
Yeah.
Like, we actually have the same. If not, we're probably going to have more potentially. Because last year we had 110, and this year we're almost at 90.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and I think we'll get 20 more signups. So,
Sure.
it's like you mentioned, probably it does stink having to qualify, but I do understand it
Yeah.
100% from the business aspect and trying to create a more. If you look at CrossFit, for example, it always goes back to CrossFit because they just do everything right in
Right.
the business sense of things.
Hmm.
There's a structure. And I think if you
Yeah.
want to make strongman elite in just, I don't even want to say elite. If you want to just make it more structured and
Sure.
have a clear path And if you look at Strongman Corp, their Super Bowl is the Arnold.
Is the Arnold? Yep.
You know, I'm not in the mood to debate if it's PSL, Arnold, OSG. What's the biggest thing? I think OSG is the biggest show.
Mm-hmm.
But for Strongman Corp, their Super Bowl is the Arnold, like
Right.
it's a competitor. So I think having anyone can do a local show. Then anyone that's qualified for the regional can do regionals. Anyone that's qualified for the nationals can do nationals, and then it's Arnold. So it's like, and there are ways. No, you don't have to do 4 shows. There's ways to jump that. You know, if you think about it, and I'm being long-winded now, but if you do regionals 1 year, you can essentially do regional. You could essentially do regionals every single year once you just bite the bullet and do it once, because you'll always have or a local show. You'll always have that qualify.
Yeah.
So,
now one thing, and I know we're going to get into this in a little bit, but there seems to be carryover from the regionals to nationals for the events.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. That do we know who picks the events for nationals? Like, do we know if that's like Dion or like James Deffenbaugh or
I
like
don't
whoever?
know for sure.
Yeah.
But if I had a gun to my head, I would say it is James Deffenbaugh.
Okay.
And I was about to compliment him because he's doing such an amazing job.
That's cool. Like, that's cool that now you have people, okay, you don't want to, you want to be able to do regionals. Like, regionals is giving you a taste of nationals, of what nationals is going to be. And, by the way, you're also not limited to doing one regional. You can do multiple. Right. Like for us, for example, like the Pennsylvania regional, the Northeast regional, and the Mid-South Kentucky regional, like you're signed up for that. Yeah. So like if you want to travel for it, you have an opportunity to do those events for the regionals to get ready for nationals, right? Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah, so, and that's one thing Dion said when she was actually on our pod when she announced this kind of structure, I guess over a year ago now. She said, you can do all 6 regionals if you want. You're not, it's just more to break it down, to space them out throughout the United States because you don't want them all on the East Coast. It's more just, but you can go and do, I know people from up here that went and did the Southeast regional this week.
Mm-hmm.
So
I plan on doing the Kentucky one of the 265, just to kind of get like an idea for nationals for the log and everything. But
exactly.
Right. So it's like, I think that's really cool. I think
I like that.
I think if there was even, maybe James or whoever did do all the research with it. I think if there was even more of an open discourse for it next year, like, hey, I would love to be told, like, hey, you have to pick 2 of these 5 events minimum to have at your regionals. So like, okay, say we got 3 people on this pod, right? So say I'm running the PA, Frawley's running Kentucky, Dante's running Alabama, right?
Yep.
And they give us a list, and it's like, okay, you have to run log. You have to have log, a sandbag carry, sandbag toss, a Husafel, or a 18-inch deadlift. And it's like, I wouldn't want to be told exactly which ones I have, but it's like, okay, I have sandbags and I have a Husafel. And Frawley's like, well, I have a good 18-inch deadlift setup and a log. And Dante, you know what I'm saying? So it allows flexibility. But you do have that kind of like, hey, and it kind of like hints at people like, hey, you see all these events popping up. Maybe that's what's going to be at nationals.
Right. That's like, you look at between
That's a great point, Frawley. You kind of got my brain going. That's good.
That's good. I like that. Like I
might bring that up to Dion and James.
Viking press for the Northeast regional, Viking press, sandbag toss series, 13-inch deadlift, stone to shoulder, frame run, and Hercules hold. Yep. Kentucky Mid-South regional, log, clean and press for reps, sandbag to shoulder ladder, power stairs, 18-inch deadlift, and sandbag load over bar, right?
Yep.
Nationals events, right? Log, clean and press. There's a stone event. We don't know the details yet. Sandbag toss over bar, power stairs, the trap bar deadlift. So that's a little bit different.
Is there a power stairs at nationals?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I thought so.
And then what's the final one?
Stay sandbag.
Sandbag toss, It's the yoke in the wheelbarrow.
Wheelbarrow. Yeah, I have it up right now,
yeah,
actually. I just
Yeah.
pulled it up.
So like there's a lot of carryover between your regional and your
Yeah.
national. So I don't know if that's coincidence, but that's a good reason to get people to do regionals,
Yeah, it's cool.
right?
Yeah, it's really cool. I
Yeah.
think that's a really good idea. And like, I mean, as we kind of transition, I wanted to talk briefly about Strongman Corp Nationals today.
Yep.
So that was a good segment. Like, I think Strongman Corp has like really, really, really filled their hole recently in what their biggest weakness was, which was, in my opinion, and am a rep for Strongman Corp, was communicate. As I'm thinking, but when I say this, I'm thinking about it as a competitor and a consumer, not a state chair.
Sure. Yep.
I think if you looked at what Strongman Corp was doing bad, was communication and kind of a lack of details until kind of last minute. And whoever is doing this right now, it is amazing. Like, I'm so proud of like how much it's like stepped up. One really cool thing is an Instagram page for the specific events. So you
What's
don't have
that
to
page
like
called?
It's called Strongman
it's
Nationals.
just called Strongman Nationals.
Okay.
It's just a handle, and it's for 2023. And I'm sure like every year they'll kind of update it to 2024 or whatever. But like, how many times have you guys been like, I got to scroll back like 20 posts to find like this post they had on their own page about nationals, 10 weeks ago to find details or whatever. And now it's all in one place. And if you would have told me last year that in the middle of May, we'd have all the events and half the weight matrices, I would have told you you're crazy. I wouldn't even said the location would have been out yet.
Right.
So I mean, it seems like a really, really great job, and it seems like everything with the communications for this year's nationals, it feels like it's going to be the biggest nationals in a long, like it feels like there's going to be some details and some really awesome stuff planned for it. So I'm really excited. I think that's I think they're doing a good job with that. So
I obviously, like we talked about it last year, right? Like once you qualify for nationals, immediately like your brain goes to nationals and like everything should be out. So I have like a little in between. I'm excited that the events are announced, and that's a good thing. But I also see the value in not announcing them until the regionals are done.
100%.
So
yeah,
obviously, like you said, it's good that the events are out, but the regionals aren't done yet, and the events got out, which it's not the end of the world. It's not really a bad thing. I mean, the sooner you know the events, the better.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's just going to jump right into prepping for nationals right now. I mean, we're still so far out, but that was the only thing that I was like, but I'd rather know sooner than too close. So I agree with that.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Like,
right, exactly.
Like, because I think from like you kind of alluded to, it's easy to look ahead at shows.
Yes.
And it's like, well, I haven't even done my regionals yet, and I'm looking at the nationals events and the matrix and everything like that. But I think it's an awesome fix because there's a lot of crybabies that are like events. We've probably done that, right?
Yep.
I mean, we have all
100%.
So I love the transparency. What I think would be cool is if like, okay, we know the events, right? Like we know the 6 events, we know half of the weight matrix. Now let's just leave the rest in a mystery for now. And you know what I mean? Kind of leave a little bit to, to the imagination.
Sure.
I will say, so I'm not a fan of it being back in Erie if as a competitor, because I like when we're 50 years old and we're sitting in a Starbucks telling kids about how much we used to lift. It's cool to go, remember when Nationals was in Alabama that year, and then it was in Roanoke that year, and then Erie that year, and then like it's the cool to have a year associated with a thing, but I like Erie because it's close to us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be mad because I live in Pennsylvania.
No.
But if I was traveling, like you're saying, I'd be like, man, I kind of wish it moved again so that we could go somewhere new.
Right.
But I get it.
But I will say, to defend Erie, I mean, I'm sure Dion chose Erie because they must have been a good location for her, right? Like,
Exactly.
and for the organization to put on a good, and I can say, okay, I did 2021 Nats and then 2022 Nats. The accommodations in Erie were a lot better for myself as an athlete.
Yeah.
They were a lot better. The arena, you can stay, it is pricier. That's why they have multiple hotel locations, but you can stay inside the location where you're competing,
which is nice.
I think is a huge amenity if you're an athlete. Shut the brain off. You can be around without getting in your car, driving, whatever. The warm-up room was a lot better for us.
Yes.
I noticed. You guys were both there as competitors too. I just liked the venue better because it felt more full. Like if you're competing as an athlete at one of the highest level shows, right? Which
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
you don't want to be like Roanoke was cool if Strongman had a lot more fans.
Right.
National Erie has like the seating is right in front of you, and you can hear your training partners, your family, your random people screaming for other people. It's more of a real feel.
Yeah.
You got fans up in your face, and it's the way the seating is. It's full. It's like I remember what is it? It's Friday and Saturday, right? Like Friday night, it was packed in there.
Yeah,
it was. Everyone was off work. Everyone was getting there.
Yeah, you can see my picture. You can see like there's people cheering behind me.
Yeah, that's cool.
You should clip that in, Dante, when it comes time.
Yeah, that's a really that's like my favorite pic. That's like one of my favorite pictures ever. But yeah, like that was so just accommodation wise, I get Erie. I'm sure there's a million places in the US that are just like that, but I'm not mad about it. I think athletes that haven't been there yet will like it. And so yeah.
So the one thing I'm kind of hoping for, and I think it obviously depends on the events, right? The events are a little bit, I don't know. The events are a little bit more friendly in this regard. And what I'm kind of hoping is that they can lay some stall mats down so that people aren't slipping on the floor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like,
well,
I know that's a lot of work, right? Moving all those stall mats and getting them laid out and taped together and doing all that. But you know, the floor being so slippery, I get everybody had to deal with it.
Yeah.
It was tough for everybody. I understand. We know the barefoot thing now, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. But I'm just kind of hoping, like, if you can lay lanes of mats down, that pretty much eliminates the slippery floor.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and really, I think the only event that would be affected is the yoke.
And
wagon, wheelbarrow.
So I'm looking right now. So okay,
you can go through them real quick.
Log press, our accommodations were nice for that. I'm talking about just the floor. So if you don't know the story, there was an event at last year's Nationals, and honestly, like I would never ever blame anyone from Strongman Corp for this because you would know there's literally no way on earth to tell that this would happen.
Exactly.
Like you know what's hilarious? Dante and I, and maybe for all you who might have been sitting with us, Thursday night or Thursday when we were there for rolls, we were talking. Dante, we probably said it 10 times how much we liked the floor didn't we? We said how much we liked the floor. And then, so the story is there was an event and it was you carried a sandbag down, put it in a sled, ran back, carried another sandbag, and then dragged the sled backwards 50 feet or whatever it was. And the girls went first. Everyone wasn't able to drag the sled. And then the guys came and every single guy went barefoot.
Right.
Because we had to grip the floor. So that's what Frawley's alluding to with the floor. But if you look at it, so log press accommodations will be the same as axle. And I thought our axle pressing was
the axle
great.
was fine.
Mm-hmm. So that's one of them. Sandbag toss, that'll be perfectly fine. That'll be on mats. Yep. Power stairs, that's on the stairs. That'll be perfectly fine, and mats at the bottom. What are the other three?
Stone.
Oh, stone.
Event,
so stone's a mystery.
Static. Yeah.
It's gonna be, even if it's a shoulder, a load, whatever it is.
Right.
That's fine.
Yoke
in the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, and
so
then
that
trap
would
bar.
really be and then the trap bar deadlift.
Trap bar will be perfectly fine. So really, it could be yoke into wheelbarrow.
I
Yeah.
don't think yoke would be an issue because farmers wasn't really an issue.
Yeah, farmers
Farmers
wasn't
for me
an
was only
I
an
slipped.
issue whenever I slipped on
I
like
slipped on
I
farmers.
slipped on that transition. Like when I looped into
Yeah.
the other
Okay.
one, that's when I slipped. But
Yeah. So I mean, yoke could be slightly.
barefoot
That's the
yoke, we
only
gotta start
event.
training barefoot yoke.
That's hilarious. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
that I was just kind of thinking. I wonder if anything will be different, or if it's just going to be like, because the other thing is now I know I'm gonna if I qualify and get there and etc. I'm gonna have like 5 pairs of shoes, right?
yeah.
I'm gonna have
Yep.
a bunch of pairs of shoes with me and be like, okay, which one of these is gonna be best on this floor?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
worst case,
It's you learn. It's crazy. You learn so much at every single competition, and it's like Nick Hine was on here, and he told the story about seeing Andrew Clayton's preparedness for the first time. It's like he has this like military grade like box that he brings to every show with him because he's a world champion and he's seen strongman for over 15 years now. And it's like, so he's seen the slippery floor, he's seen the rain at the show. So he just
Yep.
has this for this. What happens if it rains? What happens if it's sunny? What happens if the tacky, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's just, you're right, Froley. It's just being an athlete and being able to adapt and be prepared, right?
For sure.
So yeah, I think it's cool. I'm happy for myself because I'm not doing nationals unless I have to. So I say that now, and I'll probably end up having to
The
do
more
it.
times you say that, the more better chance it
Yeah,
is that you're gonna do it. So you better keep your mouth shut, Josh.
yeah, we'll see. But I know just from traveling there, I guess I should say, because I'll be there regardless, supporting everyone.
Yeah, you'll be
And
filming this year.
yeah, so I'm excited. Easy commute for us.
Sure.
Everything's an easy commute for us in strongman right now. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I I'll be I was thinking about it. This is kind of random, but how every event comes in waves. I think last year, if I look at it, the biggest thing was farmers carry. When I looked back at shows,
Oh yeah.
I
There was a
thought
lot.
farmers had like it was in every, so it was in
Yeah.
OSG, so it was in
National.
Nationals, OSG, Arnold,
Yep.
all three big shows.
Mhm.
Um,
And they were actually pretty similar. Well, I guess the fatbacks weren't similar, but OSG and Nationals were
yeah.
similar.
And you know, it's crazy. Good on James Defenbaugh. I think his farmers were the ones using all three big shows.
Yep, they
Yeah.
were.
It was
Those farmers were great.
those
They
farmers.
were
Don't
great.
tell that to people's hands at the Arnold Dante's hands.
Yeah,
but
la,
I
la,
thought they
la.
were. I thought they were freaking. Those farmers carries are awesome
They
because
saved
My hands are healed up
ears.
though.
oh, dude, you know, like you said it, for your ears at a strongman comp, like especially at the Arnold, if it's fatback farmers, you have every single competitor going, dropping it at least 8 times.
Mhm.
That's a nightmare. And James's have like that nice, like rubberized stuff on the bottom. So that's really, really cool
Well,
and
you
innovative.
guys should be thanking me because I train your ears for that every time I do a deadlift or
Yeah,
something.
that's true.
Oh my dude, I do not miss listening to you do those frame deadlifts. When we
I
were
will-
training for the regional last year.
Yeah.
I'm
God,
not
it made
trying
me
to be
wanna
loud.
never
It just
do it
happens.
again. Oh, I get it. I understand. But
I
it makes my little peanut wobble up there.
one thing I'm super jealous of whoever gets to do nationals if I don't do it is I'm assuming James will bring his power stairs that
Those
they use.
power stairs are awesome.
That dude, I will say like at the
Did
Arnold.
he fab those?
Yeah, James
Okay.
fabbed those. So, dude, those power stairs, the Ukrainian, like that equipment was fabbed up so cool. That made it so much harder to not make the finals at the Arnold because you're like so jealous. The Ukrainian deadlift was so cool. Those power stairs are so awesome looking. I'm assuming that's what they'll bring since they already have them built, right? But yeah. Only thing I ever feel bad for on power stairs is the volunteers.
Yeah.
Like that's one event where
Yeah.
I'm like genuinely like it makes your heart so like I always think about it because we work with so many volunteers at our shows, but like that's one event where you're like, God bless these people that give up their Friday, Saturday, whatever to come help Strongman because that's just a hell of an event to reset, man.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, if you guys are a volunteer, this will be the question for the comments this week. If you're a volunteer to comp and you're at a station, what event would you least like it to be? Like you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. Hey, Frawley, go to Station 4.
Yep.
Anyone listening, what would you least like Station 4 to be? What would you guys least like it to be?
Not as a volunteer, but as a judge, I never want to judge another front hold at the plate again.
Yeah, front hold. Yeah, judge and volunteer are severely different.
Yeah, right.
Front
I don't
hold,
want to judge
front
that ever
hold
again.
is so hard to judge.
That was so stressful to judge.
Yeah.
So stressful.
I'm trying to
But
think.
I don't know. Maybe putting a stone series back every time would suck.
Power stairs. That would
Power
suck.
stairs are bad. I probably screwed a lot of people with so last year at our regionals, it was a progressive frame deadlift. So every single
Oh.
deadlift you did, it went up 50 pounds.
Yep.
And that really did teach me to like to consider the volunteers more because it is they're such a huge and important part of your day.
Yep.
You need them fresh. And dude, thank God we had such good volunteers because that's anything progressive where they're adding weight. A ladder is really hard, I learned.
Yeah.
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 I'll be curious what people listening would think.
Right.
But yeah, you guys have anything else in the world as strongman?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like a month out right now. A month out from the regional.
Oh, it's crazy. That's so crazy that yeah. I'm excited. If you guys are still interested, there's still 2 weeks to sign up. Well, actually more than 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks.
I think it's the 10th.
Yeah, the 10th.
June 10th, yeah.
So 3 weeks to sign up for regionals or Battle of the Bridge. So make sure you guys get signed up ASAP. So we kind of can start fudging our numbers and seeing, what we can put in goodie bags and everything like that. So really, really excited to put on a good show for everyone. Appreciate everyone for listening. Buy Grip Mountain Chalk, buy Horsepower. Check out 580barbell.com and
subscribe to Frawley on Instagram.
Yep, follow Frawley.
If you want,
make sure
you can
for real,
me.
make sure if you guys can drop a subscription, hit the subscribe button to our YouTube channel because we're up to 425 subs now. So we're creeping up there to 500. So yeah. But we will see you guys all next week for episode 128.
Peace.
Later.